members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. I'm very delighted to be here with you this morning and to give you a steer of what we will try to accomplish during this one-day summit. You'll recall that after the Bankers Committee meeting of February the 10th, 2022, I personally held a press conference and unveiled the Race to $200 million RT200FX program, which is an initiative of the Bankers Committee aimed at raising $200 billion in non-oil export earnings over the next 3 to 5 years. At that unveiling, I specifically stated that the program will be anchored on 5 pillars, namely value-adding export facility, non-oil commodities expansion facility, non-oil FX rebate scheme, dedicated non-oil export terminal, biennial non-oil export summit. This program was born out of the realization that most of our current sources of foreign exchange inflows have become grossly unreliable and perennially prone to exogenous vicissitudes of global economic developments, and that with the grossly untapped potentials of Nigeria, there is a strong need for us to work together to diversify our FX revenue earning space to non-oil sector. For example, we have all been witnesses to the ever-changing fortunes of oil exporting countries. Even those that have been reputed to manage their oil proceeds and resources well also suffer from major shocks once oil prices begin to plummet. In order to avoid these sudden adjustments to our economic life, it is the view of the Bankers Committee to focus on strategies that can help us earn more stable and sustainable inflow of foreign exchange into Nigeria. We also felt the need to follow the best practices of other countries and ensure that we protect ourselves a little bit from factors that are beyond our immediate control. Soon after the February 2022 unveiling of the program, we issued the guidelines to give effect to one of the 5 aforementioned pillars, namely non-oil export FX rebate scheme. As you can guess, this scheme was designed to incentivize exporters in the non-oil export sector to repatriate and sell their export proceeds in the local foreign exchange market and earn a rebate to boost their income. I'm happy to inform you that after the first quarter of implementation of this scheme, we have recorded a significant increase in non-oil export repatriation and have paid eligible exporters over 2.5 billion in rebate during the first quarter. That rebate, which was only for the months of February and March, was over 3.5 billion naira. The signals and initial reactions that I received from people in trade and from the banks have shown that a lot more people who are engaged in exports, people who have found it difficult exporting and then repatriating their funds, have embraced this program, and we're happy that we are making very, very good progress in this program. In continuation of the implementation of the program, we are gathered here today for the maiden edition of the Biennial Non-Oil Export Summit to harness ideas on how best to increase the value and volume of export in Nigeria and improve the availability of foreign exchange therefrom to the ever-increasing FX needs of our importers. As things now stand, we really have very little choice left but to look inwards and find innovative solutions to our problems. Today, Practically all the countries that have comparative advantage in certain areas have decided to shut their doors to export. This started with COVID. And sometimes when I stand or sit in certain sessions and to discuss, I make bold to say that globalization is gone. We are back, unfortunately, to the area of bilateralism and not multilateralism. We have to think about ourselves first. We have to think about what do we do for ourselves. In 2014, I was at a program. Please pardon me if I don't mention the program. That was a program where we found heads of states, ministers of central banks, governors of central banks, stock exchanges, all were gathered in that country. And all of us went there, cap in hand, thinking that they would give us dollars to put and come back to our country. At that session, the head of commerce of that country, he came and said and made a lot of presentations. And before she left the podium, she said, it is time for us to think about what we can do with Africa, but not for Africa. The second person came again, the vice president of that country. He spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke, talked about all of you are gathered here, we want to partner with you, but before he ended his speech, he said, but you know what, it is time for us to think of what we can do with Africa, but not for Africa. And the head of the country came up again, and he spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke. We're going to light up Africa with $100 billion or $200 billion, like as in now, we're talking about $200 billion for RT200. And before he ended his speech, he said, it is time for us to think of what we can do with Africa, but not for Africa. What does that mean? And I hit the former MD of Nigerian Stock Exchange, Chuk Oyema, and I said, oh boy, I think it is time for us to go back home and think of how to do it ourselves, because people are not going to come and do it for us. That has been what has propelled us since 2014 to see to what can we do for our country. What can we do? In the areas that we have chosen to serve our country, what can we do to make Nigeria great again? That is one of those reasons why we are gathered here today. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, the Nigerian economy has been challenged in many fronts in recent years due to a combination of local and global factors. Disruptions due to COVID pandemic, delays in global logistic value chains, local security challenges have exerted undue pressure on our economy, making macroeconomic management very difficult, particularly FX availability and management. These factors impacted oil production and prices, disrupted trade and export, reduced capital flows, and impacted food production. They also exposed the fragility of the Nigerian economy and the need for a more diversified economy. Yet, in the face of these challenges, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been confronted with rising demand for foreign exchange for both goods, services, and other needs. With this unabating demand, the bank has been working to manage both demand and supply side to meet the foreign exchange obligations in Nigeria. However, let me emphasize that monetary policy alone cannot bear all the burden of expected adjustments needed to manage these challenges and difficulties in our country. These problems call for urgent design and steadfast implementation of other supportive, structural, and complementary policies that are broad-based, coordinated, and focused on complementing the work of the Monetary Authority. Just as the situation I have outlined above forced the CBN and Bankers Committee to set for more innovative programs and policies to gear towards sustainable solutions, it is my earnest hope that at the end of this summit today, presenters, panelists, participants will put on their thinking caps and come up with even more innovative solutions to the programs of non-oil export in Nigeria. I'm delighted, and I repeat, to see that many of our government agencies, Nigerian Port Authority, Customs, all of you that are involved in the export value chain in Nigeria, business people, financiers, and practitioners in the non-export space in Nigeria are present in this hall. When, at the time we were conceiving of this idea, we said, we, the bankers, will play our roles. We will try as much as possible to provide cheap, affordable, long-term finance for companies that really, truly deserve to conduct export activities of goods and services. But we feel, and that is the reason why we're here, that we cannot do this alone. That we need a handshake between the bankers, the central bank, between the exporters that are all involved in the value chain, but more importantly, with those of our brothers and sisters that are government agencies that are involved in the process of smoothing the process of export in Nigeria. There has been indeed unbearable difficulties and challenges involved or faced by exporters in exporting goods out of Nigeria. My brother Kuku, you are here. You have a lot of work to do. We need your support and we beg of you. You are in charge of the Nigerian ports. Please, work with us. We are ready, the Bankers Committee is ready in any way to provide the needed support that can smoothen the challenges involved in our port operation in Nigeria. We truly and badly need foreign exchange to fund the import needs of our country. We can no longer continue as a country to depend on revenue from crude oil, where we have no control over price and quantity, where there are lots of challenges we are facing today. I keep reading the newspapers. NNPC talks, Minister of Finance talks, the Acting Accountant General talks. To see different things. I am not about to begin to see the challenge we face in central bank, about how to manage monetary policy, and about how we can work together. But I think what is important is that we all need to work together, because it is a solemn pledge and responsibility that we have taken up as in this role, that we can and we will do something as Nigerians to help our country. And we will need the support of everybody. All the bottlenecks involved, whether we need to create dry ports or we need to create any type of port that is needed to expand and make export operation easy in Nigeria, we need your help. Nigerian ports, the customs, the shipping lines, please let's do it together. Nigeria can be great in export. Before we found oil, Nigeria was exporting commodities. We found oil and we all went to bed. It is time for us to get jolted and get out of bed and begin to do the right things for the good of our country, so that Central Bank of Nigeria can find the foreign exchange. In fact, people do not need to come to Central Bank of Nigeria to ask for foreign exchange to import. The banks should be able to find foreign exchange from exporters to fund import needs of Nigerians. That is what we desire, and we will need the support of everybody. I am thinking and hoping that by the time we end this program today, we will find lasting solutions to this problem in Nigeria. While I warmly welcome you all to this event, my hope is that this will be a problem-solving gathering, a summit that will guarantee that for every complaint, problem, issues, challenge, or difficulty that is presented or identified, there will be one or several agencies or practitioners that can articulate options for solving that problem. I strongly believe that the ideas harnessed from this Maiden Summit will be invaluable in helping us reach our ultimate goal of $200 billion in non-oil export over the medium term. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I'm mindful that this goal itself may appear unattainable to some, but I'm resolute and determined that we can achieve them. Many countries that are much less endowed than Nigeria are doing it. Consider, for example, that agriculture exports alone from the Netherlands was about $120 billion in 2021. Yet, Netherlands has a landmass of about 42,000 square kilometers, which is much, much less and smaller than the landmass of Niger State alone, which sits on over 76,000 square kilometers. Therefore, I call on this gathering to candidly interact and make constructive and innovative suggestions towards exploring the non-oil export sector as a more sustainable means of increasing foreign exchange inflows into our economy and generating employment to spur growth in our country. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to remember that no country is promised greatness by anyone, like I said earlier. Instead, we have to do it ourselves. Instead, citizens have to roll up their sleeves and work to achieve greatness themselves and for their country. As renowned Canadian economist Peter Howitt once said, economies that fail to transform themselves with the passage of time will fall off the growth path sooner than later. Therefore, this is time for all of us to work together to reposition Nigeria on a growth trajectory by taking diversification of the Nigerian economy as a serious business. This is the time to start working in synergy for the good of our country. This is the time for us as in the banking community to do more and support exporters who have been flying the flag of Nigeria in the international market space. There is no need, there is no better time than now. I thank you all for your attention.